Checked out, right?
So what does that mean?
Well, I mean that they're going to have to continue fighting in court for their $11 million because I
Mm-hmm.
believe the plan was that the what was being offered was $1 million in a crop. I mean, in a fertilizer. Sorry, use the wrong word. $1 million per year in a fertilizer and some money if they
Mm-hmm.
would drop the $11 million case that's out there. And the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association say, "On must say mad, on must say mad, on mad no, on must say mad." So they rejected it.
They take the what and left the what?
Yeah, and left the who. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so that's where they're going. And I've watched the bread one eat too.
Why?
Can't just go to the eat bread like that. Guys, two children in orange walk was poisoned by bread.
Hmm.
How
How?
pray, how pray tell? Well, I don't know the exact story, but apparently, someone that was at somebody else's house, I believe probably like a worker or something, when they left, there was some sweet bread. So they took the
Mm-hmm.
sweet bread home.
Mm-hmm.
And when they got home, um, a couple of kids ate it, but there was some white powdery substance on it or something they said, and right away, like the kids went into distress and they had to take him.
To the
Huh?
hospital?
Go ahead, huh? And they took him to the hospital, and they are recovering. But
Mm.
that's not nothing. I think that's what you call it. That's untoward because sometimes you got rat in your house, you set lead trapper and lead poison for them, and
Mm-hmm.
they eat bread. I think I know we had a couple of rats one time, and I used to set poison too, but I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't set it on the because I know every now and again when chicken would I run in here or when I eat stupid
Oh.
dog, I want them to eat it. So I was careful where I put it, how I put it, and when I put it.
Okay.
Yeah. But not that way like I study thing to tell my ballet. No, no go they go eat anybody bread. I know any bread you could eat like that.
Some of them have poison.
Somebody have poison. Isn't that right, Mr. Frisco?
Mm-hmm.
Look by here, watch out there. We talk about you, yes.
Oh, sorry, I was multitasking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
No,
talk
there's
with you.
I saw it on one of these online things. There's a Fox 32 had a story with Melissa Coleman. Seems to be over there in the United States. She was featured in one of the news segments.
Okay.
She has a bakery. It seems there in Chicago. Remember
Okay.
Melissa Coleman?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I was checking out the piece. It was featured in one of Fox 32 news stories.
Okay. Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you something. Belize out there a lot, because there's a show that comes on. I don't even know what the show name, but it's always like black chefs against Italian chef, Jewish chefs against
Mm.
Indian chef, and different thing like that. And the regular people, not real chef, regular people cook one another food and stuff like that. So they were talking about Caribbean food, and
Mm-hmm.
this lady went up there. She wasn't from Belize, but he do his food up and he said, I made a canned saltfish or something. He said, and I put a little bit of Marisha pepper sauce on the side because my boyfriend are from Belize and the sauce good. And you know what was funny about it?
What?
Everybody that ate that girl a canned saltfish,
Mm-hmm.
the a canned saltfish, no, they work so good, but the pepper sauce, they work.
The
I
works.
said, oh man. Hurry shop, they shop. Look for that and find that. But that was very, very wicked.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so according to this, she has it's not a bakery. Why they said bakery? It's a candle brand, Caribbean inspired candle brand.
Melissa
Oh,
Coleman?
Oh, come on. Candle scents. What is it?
From the Caribbean? The scents are from the Caribbean?
Celebrates the sight, sense, and spirit of the Caribbean through handcrafted wooden wick candles.
Wow. I know somebody holla, girl, you don't got no sense. I say, yes, I do. I have rosemary, I have vanilla, I have cinnamon spice, and apple pumpkin.
Pumpkin too?
So it's called
Yeah.
sugarcane candles.
Wow,
All right, I did not know about this. Interesting.
Okay.
I want, yo, man, respect to her, and I'm really glad for her success. But I wonder where she got the smell like when it born. What are your favorite candle smell? When you go out and buy this candle, what is your favorite candle
Not
smell?
probably vanilla or potpourri, but not cinnamon, please.
No.
Really?
Yeah, I like vanilla.
Yeah. I like,
I like lavender, berry kind of thing.
yeah. Dana like the lavender. The vanilla is a mild one, but you know what my favorite one is?
What?
They have one like apple spice or pumpkin spice.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, see anything where I
That
tell you?
I'm
See cinnamon
dreaming
spice
of.
business. I can't do it.
Yes. That's the way I make a dream about my white Christmas quick.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he
Sargasm.
didn't say either.
Sargasm is back.
Uh-oh.
Yes. And in a big way.
I think this is where is this again now? I said it might be St. George's Key, might be St. George's Key.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Or Stewart from out there.
Because George is saying. George was the patron saint of what?
I have no idea. The key.
Let me see.
So this is last night. This wave came in. It was good yesterday, and then some came in.
Yeah, I had some
So it's
rain,
back.
huh?
It's back again.
The wave
Put
is
it back
back.
again.
He's saying the wave is
Sargasm.
Oh, yeah, man. And I think they said that you were having something was wrong with one of our sargasm equipment or something like that.
Nah, I'm not sure. Haven't heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did you hear that from?
I heard that a few weeks ago.
Oh.
Let me see.
But yeah, so the beaches will have to deal with that. Fresh for the Easter. That sucks.
Oh, yeah. That's rough, man. Have to get a fish early. St. George
Yes.
died around 303 BC, was a Roman soldier of Greek origin and a Christian martyr.
Mm-hmm.
But it couldn't have been up BC. Who became a revered saint. Legendary dragon slayer. What? Come on now. Oh no, I put legendary dragon slayer. Come on, Christian. Right away, make it seem like everything's a fantasy. Legendary dragon slayer, the patron saint of England and other countries. He was executed for refusing to renounce his Christian faith during Emperor Diocletian's persecution, becoming a celebrated martyr. All right.
Okay.
So he was a Roman from
Yeah.
Greek who became Christian.
Quick call, yeah. Where to go on, Luke?
Mr.Frisco,
Yeah, what up?
you know the last man we big up the police department. That means Joseph put now a week later they kidnap her. So I hope what I want to say right now they don't come for me, man. But I want to say kudos to the police department. You notice when the police do something with charge up, we give them help. But when the police do something good, we never thank them. We never
We
say,
big
boy,
help.
job well done.
We do.
But you make
do.
them do something. Boy, look at it. Could be true or not true. I will chew them up. So this morning, I want to say, enough respect to the police department for a job well done. And I'll tell you what the job was. Our job well done. Right? So,
the job, but
well,
There's still a
they kind of
Well
solve
done
a
in your
murder like
eyes.
1 minute after the murder happened.
Okay.
They don't kind of solve it because they don't go one down and the next one they don't know that who. So I figure you have to give the man their credit where credit is due. That's not every day they solve the thing there like that. I wish every time somebody pull a trigger, the police they right down the lane. I just light them back. You know what I say? But it just not happen every day. But when it does happen, lad, man, we have to say kudos, man. We have to say, boy, job well done. Oh,
Job well
we're
done.
quick to criticize our judge, but we're not quick to give the accolades when the accolades deserve. You see what I say?
quick to get accolades after
Now,
that.
just hope they don't go kidnap me today. That's
Yeah,
the way I
you
hope
see,
for.
uh-huh.
Because the last time it was the put like a big jump out school bag. The next week they carry him. Anyway, guys, that's all.
Yeah, rough, yeah.
All right, take care.
Just keep your passport with you.
Look,
Well,
boy.
I mean,
Look.
that's any job, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they get anybody get hell when they operate outside of their job.
Of course.
Yeah,
No,
that when you
of
pick
course.
up the flock, when you do your work, that just means you do your work. That's what you're getting paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't need extra special thanks to do your job.
Yeah,
You're
boy.
just doing your job. Doing your job. When you operate outside your job and do madness, then criticism come your way. That's anywhere, right? Anywhere.
Right.
You could work
I
that
think
team.
Right.
You work that Timbuktu, you do something out of the way or hear about it.
You're gonna hear. Mm-hmm.
Like more than anyone else, we really big up our police officers and our people in a uniform
Of course.
because we understand the importance of the job they do. Just like the priests, we understand the importance of the job where the priests them in. I may tell you that how the other day, Father made a cricket tree and they find one dead pig in the road leaves.
Mm-mm.
Yes, Father found one dead pig in the middle of the road. Father called the police to report one dead pig in the road. So this police person, I know I say man or woman, who answered the phone, either don't want atheist, or like religion, or he just got what listen about style. Because when the father tell him about the dead pig in the road, the person answered the phone and say, "Did you read the pig's last rites?" And then it's like this knuckle.
Mm-hmm.
Father tell him no. He said, "I figured I would contact the next of kin first."
Next of kin.
Yes.
Wait.
Before
So
you read,
that's why he's calling.
that's why I call for report. Yeah, I mean, even father then get upset every now and again,
Of
Guys,
course.
you find a dead pig in the road, you either pull on one, I eat it. You have to
Mm-mm.
report it.
Of course.
So the father reported it to the next of kin first. Yeah.
Wow, I got jokey joke, huh? He's got
Okay.
jokey joke.
Antigua's Prime Minister, Mr. Gaston Brown, says that the government will absorb the gas price hike for a while.
For where?
The Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda.
Okay.
Yes, some people like say Antigua, but it's Antigua.
Antigua.
Antigua and Barbuda, Mr. Gaston Brown says that the government will absorb the price, the inflated price of gas because they know
Must
that
be
people
nice.
is struggling. Yeah, I'm telling you, bro. Wow. That time was why I believe dropped from number 27 to number 25 to number 27 as one of the happiest places on the planet. Are you surprised you made it at 25?
Oh, yeah?
I'm surprised. Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
let's grab this break because we'll be right back.
At Habet and Abet and Brothers Abet, we've always proudly celebrated Women's Month. This year,
The
we
staff
celebrate
and
women
management
keeping the
of
balance
Atlantic
at home,
Insurance
at work,
Company
and in their
extend
community.
our
That's
sincere
why all
appreciation for
March
your
long,
ongoing
all
trust
women
and
receive
support.
15% off
As we
store-wide,
celebrate
from
35
paints
years
to
of
plumbing
meeting
and
your insurance
everything in
needs,
between.
we
Plus,
look forward
20 to
to many more years
65%
of
off
partnership
lots more
as
deals
we
on
continue
sale
to
and
support you in
with
navigating
trusted
life's
experience, top quality products, and service that's second to none. We're here to support women every step of the way. Visit or call us today. Happy Women's Month from all of us at Habet and Abet and Brothers Abet, doing our part to balance the scales.
Smart for everybody. Smart leading everything. Smart give you everything. Smart offer everything. Smart give you everything. North to the east and the south and the west. Smart are the best. Darling, double up my data and give me all the text. In fact, give me a plan for my family. Unlimited calls, so me like it. And smart make everybody feel happy. Bringing people together, me want it now. Smart got love for everybody. Me want my smart plan. Want it right now. Me want my smart plan. Want it right now. More bundles, data plan. Me want my smartphone, internet in my hand. Call me want my smart plan. Want it right now. Smart. Stay connected. Stay happy.
Rotavirus is a leading cause of severe watery diarrhea and vomiting in young children. It can lead to dangerous dehydration and hospital visits. The good news? The rotavirus vaccine is now available countrywide. It is given in drops at 2, 4, and 6 months of age. Protect your child. Visit your nearest health clinic today.
I want to share why this work is so urgent. My mother is 75 years old. She's blind. She has lived by the sea for 75 years. Today, my mother cannot see the stones you guys are placing to protect her home. But she can hear. Every night she sits in her home and hear the waves beating at her door. To most people, that song is peaceful. But to my mother, the song is a countdown. It is the song of the land she loves being stolen inch by inch. For years, the song has been a dark shadow over our lives. I look at our students here today, their bright little faces. We need your help to make sure that when these children grow up to be 75, they are sitting in their homes and aren't afraid of the sea.
The whole design of the T is to catch the sand as it walks past Monkey River. Literally what you see is the sand comes from the river, goes out to sea. The sea was clogged with mud and sand, so the river now pushed the sand out like it used to. One, we have less flooding. We have a lot of drainage on the way to Monkey River. The water is not there, but as you can see, we've moved the sand over. Now nature will walk it down with time.
There is an area between the burial ground and where the village is that needs some attention as well, and so it will be addressed right away since PM has approved some additional finance to continue the project in Monkey River.
I am very proud that Minister Osman Martinez, the area representative, along with Oscar Kenya, they saw the necessity, one as the area representative and one as the Minister of Rural Transformation. And then along with the support from my office that we managed to do this, showed us that we just need to put a little bit more investment and we can do the entire area. So I said, you know what, give me an estimate, we're going to do it. We are going to save Monkey River village and going to make it into one of the more beautiful villages in the country.
Belize is transforming the way taxes are managed with the Semi-Autonomous Revenue Authority, a modern system built on flexibility, efficiency, and accountability. SAR will have its own human resource policies, ensuring faster hiring, fairer opportunities, and competitive pay that rewards performance. The SARA will also manage its own budget, making it easier to fund what matters most: better technology, improved taxpayer services, and stronger enforcement when needed. With this flexibility comes responsibility. Independent audits, public reports, and parliamentary oversight will ensure full transparency. SARA's transparency, flexibility, and efficiency will ensure smarter decision-making, better taxpayer service, and responsible use of public funds. SARA, flexibility to serve you better, accountability to serve you right.
All right, all right, all right. All aboard and welcome back on the Monday. Yeah, budget debate should kick off today, tomorrow, and on Wednesday. So yeah, prepare for that. Yeah, let's bring back the crew. That's who we got. Who we got? Who's coming in? Who's coming in?
Everybody.
I mean, I said Lisa, no.
I'm right here. I'm right here.
There is Sir Groove.
We came in together.
Groove.
Steve, did you realize that?
Groove yard.
Did you realize we came in together?
Uh-oh.
Yes, that's very, very good. That's one of the nicest things in life.
Yes, we're coming together.
Terrible.
Terrible.
Get the hell. So anyway, starting today, apparently because of all the TSA thing, I think when they look at with this TSA, with this crash, is that was this a new TSA agent? I mean, TSA people, they get paid. You know, they might be under stress and all kind of thing. And so in order to alleviate that problem, ICE agents are now going to be assisting the TSA agent.
You're kidding.
Yeah, right at the airport starting today.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding you. Now you know what that means? That's letting the fox watch the hen house. Because TSA, their only job is to scan, make sure your documents are fine, you come in as so. ICE, they're gonna have your information. You might go down ICE down screening line, end up get arrested, deported, all kind of things. So that's gonna be
that's crazy.
That's terrible, I tell you. That's not the smartest idea in the world. You know, an Iranian missile was fired into the Indian Ocean at a joint base for England and America. And everybody said, boy, me never know they could do that. But they done. I mean, look at tell you something now. If I left them people alone, we don't got no problem right now. Because I think that them people they're on a stage where they just want to live their life just like everybody else want to live their life.
Right.
And we gonna stir up. And when I say we have to say we because all our weapons this side have to hold hand whether or not we want to hold hand.
Are you saying we have stomped on ants nest?
Yes. One fire ants nest. And this fire ants,
it's fire.
It look like they have a whole lot of weapons that apparently people never know about. They have a Strait of Hormuz that nobody knew that they might have closed, and all kind of thing. And 47 told him, you got 48 hours for open that strait, I want to blow up everything. 48 hours don't pass. He said, here, I tell you, you got 98 hours for open up that thing, or... I don't know where to go on, man. It's just, I didn't like that.
They're the great strategists.
Of course.
I don't know how you strategize as with enemies like that whose sole existence is to stay in conflict.
Right.
So it's not the best thing when your game is it's like with the you got street figures and then you got people you live in a home and you got your family. And it's not a bright idea to get caught up with the street figures because they don't have nothing to lose and you do.
You do, right.
You have to go back to your humble home. And they don't. And so that type of, confrontation is, want that because while they operate in the streets, no holds barred, no boundaries, you have to go back to your house. So that's the same thing over that side, then you want to come back to your nice society. We fight one enemy where could care less. They are like, oh, finally. And with that type there, right? They live for war. They live to fight. That's their thing, and they could keep on fighting forever and ever and ever. And they've been fighting that type of people. That's the way they do. So now you could have the head, and now you don't even know who in charge. So how you fight? How you expect to win a war when you don't even know who to run the show?
He probably say kill everybody when he could talk to.
So that's why this is a never-ending thing where you're gonna stir up the thing, and that's why they say left it alone, because when you stir it up, you can't control it after that. It can't be controlled.
The thing where I say where it happened is not that the people of Gaza and Iraq, that's what they do. I don't see them as they are warrior people, but so are the Jews.
Right.
So are the Jews. They're the warrior people. They're not the first warrior people.
No, I talk about the people. I talk about the people. I talk about the regime and the type of regime and ISIS and all the other type of Hezbollah and all the other sets where operate under that. I wouldn't call them military because they're not conventional military, and they don't fight conventional. They fight wherever the war take them to fight. We never talk about the regular people of the place. We talk about the ones there where they fight. And the Iranians are the same thing. So now you cut off the head and you don't know who they control what. So they just ready for the war. They just ready. And who in charge? How you fight, you don't know who they run things. You kill the leader.
Yeah.
I know.
So who do run the show?
I believe right now.
You think they know?
For people.
No, we don't know.
Maybe we don't know, but they know.
But they know.
Because they are not negotiating. They don't want no talking. And then they fire back. Then they fight back. Israel is being assaulted. Praise God. Right now as we speak. They gone, and then I wish they weren't being bombed like that. But when you go and start one war, you have to expect, and then they're crying about what's legal and what's not legal. Your whole state isn't legal. But I believe that women and children and men across the globe want the same thing. Peace, make one leave money.
Who wouldn't want that?
Exactly. But I believe that people like MAGA and Netanyahu and Trump see those people as less than people. They don't want the same things we want. They're trying to fit this narrative. Like, that's why they're getting up now and saying how unfair it is that Iran would block the oil from going through the Strait of Hormuz. How unfair it is that you blocks oil from going to Cuba. It all depends on who does it that make it right.
Yeah. Well, I just want to respond to the threat of blowing up the power infrastructure there, but the people don't worry about that. That would only hurt the civilian folks.
Yeah.
That wouldn't hurt the combatants, the people who engage in the back and forth. Only the people are suffer. Only the same people claim that you're the help.
In the White House, they're talking about Article 25, all kind of stuff, because then they realize that this whole war, the peace president who won the coveted FIFA Peace Prize, since he's won that FIFA Peace Prize, he used that FIFA Peace Prize to invade Venezuela. He used that FIFA Peace Prize to invade Iran. And now he's using the FIFA Peace Prize to say, I could take Cuba. I could do anything I want to Cuba. In the one idiot, we do not talk about my administration or we. That me. I could take it. I could do this. I could do that. That's why you did stand alone. Because all your allies that could help you, you treated them worse than your enemies. And now that you need their help, they're not there for you because you know what? I. You get out of this.
I love merengue.
Yeah,
I
there you
love
go. Aye,
merengue.
aye, aye. So yeah, man, that's a terrible thing.
What else coming out of the
Right.
weekend?
Better go on BW.
There was a couple of motorcycle incidents. One where two people died
Yeah,
in Cotton
that
Tree.
was Cotton Tree Village. Yeah, pulling out of a gas station. They apparently collided with a truck passing by. A police officer was shot in Belize City while working on a house. He's recovering. Him and a helper, I believe, they said was also grazed. Yeah, it's
So that happened.
yeah.
There's another
Motorcycle accident.
motorcycle accident in the Farbers Road area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the extent of injuries. But
I
I
believe
know,
I think there was one in Orange Walk or somewhere too where a lady was, or was it Hattieville? I'm not sure. I got to double check again. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, there was something that happened and then the same thing happened again. Like, what are the odds that and then, we go right back to the our little our little conversation about, when one thing happens, then all of a sudden there's a series of coincidental things of the same nature. So there was that motorcycle. It's been a while since, major motorcycle incidents. There was that, and then there was the one similar scene. People were on the ground laid out. Doesn't seem that the one in Farbers Road was fatal, at least not yet to my knowledge.
Okay.
But still, there was something the other day though that happened. Like, it's a wild thing that would happen, and then another one happened. Like, I don't remember. We were caught up in something else. I did not bring it up. When I was like, okay, here we go. When these things happen, it tends to happen more than once.
Right.
And then we say, well, there might be some supernatural force that is allowing these things to happen. That's our little internal thing, no? Or a conspiracy theory in the supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to believe that. But yeah.
Yeah, Boca, I wanted the same thing study. As a matter of fact, yeah. Our senior political correspondent from foreign, Casale, says Trump put it on pause with Iran because they want to negotiate. Late breaking news this morning. Yeah, well, I am pretty sure that the Gaddafi needs thanking for that opening if Iran want to talk, because nobody wanted this done quicker than Trump so he could go after Cuba. Because, like I said, this is just to keep people from talking about the Epstein files, But hey,
it's not good for the. It's not good for the elections coming up.
Oh no, it's not. That's why they try change the voting rules so that, like, if you suppose me and Dana live there and Dana married, she have to bring her birth certificate or her marriage license along with the paper where they change it. So you lose. So they try to do all kind of thing to make it hard for people to vote or discourage them to vote.
So this is what one person is saying, all right?
Uh-huh.
It says, good morning, Lisa. Tell the master the only way there will be peace on earth is if all nations has nuclear. A good example is North Korea. Good morning, DL.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's the message.
Yeah, Thursday is good. Let me tell you something. That's peace through strength is what they're talking about. Let me tell you something. If a country like Israel could possess nuclear weapons, any country should. Any country should. I don't think that none should have it. But who are you to dictate which country should and which country shouldn't? I don't believe that any country that holds a nuclear weapon would fire it because they know it's going to be mutually assured Armageddon. Or like they call it MAD, mutually assured destruction. That's what it is.
Well,
but yeah,
there are those who you would assume would pull that trigger quicker than the others. So,
but wait a second. Look at a country like Iran. Iran had nuclear weapons. North Korea.
You believe
had
so?
Nuclear weapons.
You believe Iran did?
Of course. You think they're going to spend $1 billion a day for something where they think? No, my boy.
Well, they said they were working on it, but they didn't complete it. Because if they completed it, it would have been there.
Remember, they obliterated it last.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have that. You know, that's a site where you don't have your missile at the site where they make it. Once a missile is completed, it goes to a silo somewhere hidden. So if they had it, now is the time to use it, no?
Use it.
I tell you, like I said, people know where it happened, you know. There's right now they're talking about a tactical.
But so a lot of the experts, outside of the U.S., believe that wasn't the case. That they were years away from having what they needed to complete a fully functional thing. I mean, you could easily get one from Russia if that's the case.
The thing was, I remember, like, again, I don't look at incidents as they occur. I look at everything in a whole. We were told that their nuclear thing was obliterated. They would have been 10 years away from a nuclear weapon again. Then, less than a year later, we were told that they were 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon. So now, I gotta tell you something, bro. I don't believe nothing where I hear.
Again, where they talk from, they come from the U.S. Where they come from, going back and just do only revisionist history as to what and what.
I am assuming by what I see.
It doesn't seem that they were, like, close to.
The reason
not that they not work on it. They enrich uranium. They probably were. They said they were doing it for energy purposes.
The reason why they started with that same thing about Iran firing a missile over 2,000 miles into the Pacific Ocean at a target, because America and the UK said, I never knew they could do that. So if they never know they could do that, you think they know everything what they got and what they could do? But the reason I think that most countries would want nuclear weapon now is not for offense, but for defense. You want to know I got one big stick too. And Israel is as much of a terrorist state as Iran, as in North Korea, as in Russia, as in any other place like that. And they have a nuclear weapon. North Korea, we are crazy man there. They have nuclear weapons. But you notice the one where we go after is the one wrong Israel neighborhood. Because somebody gonna lie to them and tell them how they are chosen, then believe it, then we follow, and now we try to live for their fantasy. But I left that alone. Because it's now 24 minutes past the hour of 10 o'clock. And we are waiting for the budget debate to start. But as we wait, I just want Honor to know that Friday in school, the teacher asked the kids, could you name a sentence or give me a sentence, Lisa Love, with the word pistol in it.
I'll pistol whip you.
All right, there you go. Mr. Frisco, give me a sentence with the word pistol in it.
I wanted to go so bad that I pistol.
All right.
I started at 2:50 and I pistol 3 o'clock.
Yes, very good, very good. Well, that's the way Johnny said. Johnny said that for him, get off work at 5, drink till 9, and piss till 2.
Yes, exactly.
exactly. But every day people are waking up very, very nervous. Very, very nervous. Yeah, because you don't know what's gonna happen. That's why we always say when you select on leaders, make sure on the leaders. No, it got nothing to do with Trump and those kind of thinking. Make sure they're not crazy people.
Yeah, blame the Democrats though. Blame the Democrats.
Oh, that's the way they are.
No, I tell you, blame the Democrats.
For
half step.
When?
Their last election.
No, I don't blame the Democrats. I
Blame the Democrats.
Racist white people. No, I tell
Yeah,
you what.
racist white people has always been there, but
Please. The Democrats had the
blame
perfect
them.
candidate.
They know.
The Democrats had the perfect candidate, but what happened? The racist people would rather have a stupid white man than a smart black woman.
You see?
And some of them still do when
You admit until you admit your errors,
and they would
errors
say, yes,
will
they
repeat
still want
themselves.
what's going on?
What are the errors, Mr. Frisco? Give us the error.
The error is 1, wrong platform. 2,
which was? What was the platform?
The agenda business. The women's issues. They got it wrong. Wrong platform
Really?
again. And Biden take too long to step down.
Okay, well.
There's a series of things, and they know there's a whole thing done about it. The Democrats dropped the ball, and they still drop the ball.
All right, I have to tell you something. Again,
that's just.
Yeah, you know how carbon monoxide builds up slowly until you realize, oh, this room is poisonous. There are things where you people see and people interpret, and then you make judgments. That is how you see that the Democrats just dropped the ball. You
dropped the ball.
See nothing that the racists did
racists
not want her.
Yes, the racists were always there. That's the way I try to tell you.
Hold on. Wait. You did not see the people who said, oh, I don't want a woman. You see nothing about the black people and the Spanish people that hated themselves and wanted to be white, that badmouth Kamala, who everybody know was better. Everything that she said is happening now.
Groove. We look for it. We gone through this already. We look for it from the outside. Issues where affect the Americans was lied to them and they believed it, and the Democrats dropped the ball in delivering their message. They dropped the ball.
Okay.
The message they were sending was not the message that they wanted to hear. They dropped the ball. We look at it outside and everything else in a whole. The Americans have voted in every constituency voted on things where they believe may are good for them. Because my boy sell it. They didn't sell a good deal. The guy, I forget props, guess it got the art of the deal. He can't complete the deal, but he sell it. He sold it well.
I believe if
the Democrats weren't in they didn't complete the young people who control social media. That all the people who control social media made they on the right side. The Democrats were non-existent when it comes to that. All the big people who had influence made they deal with the Republicans. The Democrats failed to get the message out properly. They never far from lose it, far from win, but they just never win because they drop the ball in a lot of places. Biden take too long to step down. That has to be said. You ever said that the man take too long to step down so that
was one of the
Kamala could have build up more momentum.
Yeah, hold on. Let me tell you something. There is no more momentum than Kamala.
Well, you could agree or disagree, but at the end of the day, Trump win, right?
I watched Harry and 10 who gone through this whole thing. There is no bigger momentum Kamala could have had. Kamala had everything behind her.
Well, that's one thing. The messaging me wrong too. The women, where they medicate for, still turn on and vote in Trump. The women vote where they think they may have control because of the women's rights. The women don't worry about that as big as where they may believe. That the women they still never win that vote there. So a lot of the thing where, you know, they slip, I mean, again, you run your election, you know, they drop the ball in a lot of places. But, hey, they know. Who don't believe Trump may actually get back in?
But there's a lot of people right here that believe very glad that he did get back.
Well, I heard about that part there.
And those are the people that we got to keep out of Belizean politics. When somebody
different
politics,
subject.
you look on their Facebook page and you see that who then is support. See what kind of feelings they got, and you'll find the stupid ones. Yeah.
Yeah, people vote when they vote for, you know.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Right now the PUP they in, and then all the UDP and they say Belizean people voting, the stupid ones voting the ruling party. But that's how election work. You vote in, you get vote out. So it work. The live has not gone on yet, but yeah, for the budget debate. I think we should at least grab this second break.
Okay.
So that we could pay these bills. Yeah, shouts out to Jaime Price Piling. Yep. Who else we got? Brothers of Bet, yo.
Mm-hmm.
Premier Towing. Digi. BB Insurance. Grace Kennedy Belize. Atlantic Insurance as well. Heritage Bank. Geras Engineering. Catoos Trucking. Catoos Construction Aggregates and Trucking. Yes. Remember Mohabab's Mother's Day event as well.
Mother's Day show?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Social Security Board, Dara is having his Tim Shandel.
Tim Shandel.
Channels!
Tim Shandel.
Tim Channels.
Mm-hmm.
And Judy Boucher. Hey, in the lack of wisdom. Right? There's ignorance.
Of course.
Yes, Tim Channels. That's what we know. Yes. But yeah, that event is happening. Yeah. I like, if you track, they don't play, you know.
Hey.
Ah, boy, that's some serious things.
It goes deep.
Simon Kwan.
Company Limited.
Yes. Go get what you need, and even if you don't need it, still go get it.
Because it's there.
You got that right.
You did not know you needed it until you saw it right at Simon Kwan.
Belize Chamber of Commerce. Huh?
That is wrong.
Yeah, Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry Western Union. Belize Tax Service. And Cycling Federation of Belize. Yep. Inside the morning still. What was that, Groove?
One of our listeners says Frisco crossed over to the other side.
Why?
Another listener says, Another listener says, rich white people who control the Democrats and pull the strings, played the race and gender card. Okay, rich white people who control the Democrats played the race and gender card, hoping black women would make up for the screw up with Biden. Dems dropped the ball. Morning. That for one fault, Trump is in the White House.
That's for their fault. That's for their fault.
No, I want to tell you something. That is the way how a Trump supporter or somebody who think that way would look at it. A normal person would look at it and say, oh, there was literally a sensible a sensible black woman and a draft-dodging, rapist, deranged white man. And the racist people chose the deranged white man over a sensible black woman. That's all. That's what it boiled down to. No matter how much advertisement.
If you're racist, you may make that.
When it came down to the vote, the racist won.
But if you're a racist, you may that no may change. You may vote that way anyway. That people when they normally vote, they swing the vote the other way because they believe the lie. They believe that he was selling, and the other side wasn't selling what they wanted to buy.
So what then? Well, so it said
the messaging was wrong.
They were brainwashed. Their brain cells weren't that.
Hey, people vote.
There was a
people again world over. People vote on things that will affect them. No, if you as a politician not deliver it,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. The president
Do you
says
think that they're getting what they?
That
what
happen
they
in
said?
every democracy. That happen right here, I believe. You voting people who say they do this and then they don't do it.
Yeah.
Last week we spoke about that.
One of the president says the poor white people, rednecks who vote him in, the uneducated of America voted Trump. And that is a statistical fact. And that is true because Trump said his
But that his base
are the stupid ones.
I just say me know I know call nobody stupid or stupid. That his base. We talk about his base and that will forever be his base. The people with a no base will say, I believe what he was selling and say, I'm again, I want to run again.
Anybody that like Trump and agree with Trump, you don't
We got to
undercover
go, people.
racist.
We got to go.
Yes.
Yeah. The thing's that.
That's right.
Wow.
See y'all later.
You still, well, the live has gone up. Okay, it started. All right, good.
All right. Take care, guys.
Well,
Then it's it. Then it's it.
That's how it is in the morning still.
Yeah.
See you guys.
In the light of your divine wisdom, direct their plans and endeavors so that with your help we may attain our just objective. With your guidance, may all our endeavors tend to peace, social justice, liberty, national happiness, the increase of industry, sobriety, and useful knowledge. We pray, O God of mercy, for all of us that we may be blessed in the knowledge and sanctified in the observance of your most holy law, that we may be preserved in the union and in the peace which the world itself cannot give. And after enjoying this life, the blessings of this life, please admit us, dear Lord, to that eternal reward, so that you have prepared for those who love you. Amen and amen.
Announcement by the Speaker. Good morning, members. Apologies for the late start this morning. We received notices of absences from the member for Orange Walk South, who remains on sick leave, and the member for Corozal North. This meeting, members, will be carried over a period of 3 days. It's not 3 meetings, but 1 meeting being conducted over 3 days. We did receive a few notices of members who won't be present for the first day, but will be present for the remaining days of the budget debates, namely member for Fort George and member for Cayo South. As we are still in the Women's month of March, I'd like to take the opportunity to acknowledge all those who are involved with what has been termed a successful Young Women in Leadership Parliament forum, and it was held in these chambers on Friday. It culminated, I should say, in these chambers on Friday, the first time the chamber was filled with all women. And I have been receiving actually several messages from some of you as well as from members of the public on how that went off, and I thought it was only fitting for me to acknowledge it publicly. That was done, coordinated with the help of the Women's Parliamentary Caucus, Parl-Americas, and CWIL, as well as the Department of Youth Services in Belize. So together all of them coordinated, and over 2 months worked with the young women who applied. I also received a few notices from varying members of the public based on the last meeting, and because of Women's Month, having acknowledged a few women in Belize, the message was that to a gentle reminder that the UN had designated this decade as the second UN International Decade for people of African descent. And in that vein, if it would be fitting for me or appropriate for me, and I agreed, to also recognize, in addition to the names that we did at the last meeting, Belizean's Senator Venencia Petillo, Belizean Vivian Wilhelmines Maivet, C. Cleopatra White, Sadie Vernon, Creole icons Myrna Manzanares and Lila Vernon as well, to speak their name in the record of women who have helped to build this nation. And with that, Clerk, I conclude announcements for today's first sitting.
Papers.
I recognize the Honorable Prime Minister, Minister of Finance.
Madam Speaker, I rise to present and lay on the table session paper number HR 69114, Fiscal Strategy Plan Fiscal Year 2025-2026 to Fiscal Year 2027-2028, Ministry of Finance, Government of Belize.
Honorable members, that paper is ordered to lie on the table. I recognize the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister.
To present and lay on the table sessional paper number HR 69A/1/14, Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing, 8th Road Project, George Price Highway, Belize to Hattieville and Belcan Bridge Replacement Project.
Honorable members, that paper is ordered to lie on the table. I recognize the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Food Security. Honorable members, that paper is ordered to lie on the table.
Presentation of reports from Select Committee.
I recognize the Honorable Chairperson of the Finance and Economic Development Committee.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to lay on the table sessional papers number HR 70/1/14, report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Internal Audit Bill 2026. Number HR 71/1/14, report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Ombudsman Amendment Bill 2026. Number HR 72/1/14, report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Contractor General Amendment Bill 2026. Number HR 73/1/14, report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, CLIMA, strengthening marine ecosystem resilience by enhancing wastewater infrastructure in Keycaker, US $12.25 million, loan and guarantee motion 2026. Thank you.
Honorable members, those reports are ordered to lie on the table.
Motions relating to the business or sittings of the House.
I recognize the Honorable Minister of Human Development, Family Support and Gender Affairs.
Madam Speaker, this is a Domestic and Intimate Partner Violence Prohibition Bill 2026. I rise to introduce a bill for an act to recognize the right of all persons to live free of domestic violence and intimate partner violence, to expand the powers of the court, to make orders to support survivors, to increase accessibility to justice services, to fulfill Belize's commitments under international conventions for all persons to live free of violence, to repeal the Domestic Violence Act, Chapter 178 of the Substantive Laws of Belize, Revised Edition 2020, and to provide for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Madam Speaker, this bill has the full recommendation of the Cabinet.
All members, just a correction, the clerk had mentioned motions. That was actually introduction of bills. Honorable members, that bill is referred to the Health and Human Development Committee for examination, consideration, and report.
Bill for an act to recognize the rights of all persons to live free of domestic violence and intimate partner violence, to expand the powers of the court, to make orders to support survivors, to increase accessibility to justice services, to fulfill Belize's commitments under international convention for all persons to live free of violence, to repeal the Domestic Violence Act, Chapter 178 of the Substantive Laws of Belize, Revised Edition 2020, and to provide for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Motions relating to the business or sittings of the House.
I recognize the Honorable Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I move that at its rising today, the House suspends to Tuesday, 24th March 2026 at 10 a.m.
Honorable members, the question is that the House at its rising today adjourn to tomorrow, Tuesday, 24th March 2026 at 10 a.m. All those in favor kindly say aye. Those against kindly say no. I think the ayes have it.
Public business, government business motions.
Honorable members, the debate on the second reading of the General Revenue Appropriation 2026-2027 Bill 2026 is about to be resumed. Before we begin, I would like to remind honorable members about Standing Order number 64, presentation and the second reading of the appropriation bill, especially paragraph 5, which reads, after the motion for the second reading of the appropriation bill has been resumed on the paragraph 4 of this standing order, the debate shall be confined to the financial and economic state of the country and the general principles of government policy and administration as indicated by the appropriation bill and the estimates. Matters are therefore asked to be confined. Members are therefore asked to confine their debate within the prescribed limits of the aforementioned standing order. I would like to remind honorable members of the other parts of the standing order, specifically, no surprise to any member, standing order number 42B, and that is, which states that an honorable member shall maintain silence while another member is speaking and shall not interrupt except in accordance with these standing orders. So we now have the resumption of the debate on the General Revenue Appropriation 2026-2027 Bill 2026. With your indulgence, I will ask for a brief suspension in order for us to allow for the necessary arrangements as has been standard before the debate on the budget is resumed, with the Leader of the Opposition leading off on the resumption. Thank you.
today on behalf of the parliamentary opposition to respond to the government's presentation on the 2026-2027 budget. I stand here today on behalf of the people of Belize, those hardworking men and women who struggle every day to make ends meet at a time when the headwinds are strong and at a time when the global geopolitical environment poses a direct threat to our social economic well-being and our national sovereignty. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister's reference to budgeting for Belizean prosperity must go beyond the greed of the privileged few and well-connected. One can agree that it is an appealing phrase, one we suppose is intended to inspire confidence and optimism. Our duty here is to review the numbers, the policies, and priorities behind these statements. When we do so carefully, when we move beyond the rhetoric and look squarely at the realities confronting many Belizean households, a vastly different picture begins to emerge. You see, Madam Speaker, prosperity is measured by the lived experience of our people. It is measured by whether a mother can afford to put food on the table for her children. It is measured when a young graduate can find meaningful work that will help them to realize their dreams and aspirations. It is measured by whether a small business owner can keep their doors open and not be weighed down by the spiraling cost of inputs and crushing taxes and fees imposed on doing business. It is measured by the safety and protection of our citizens in our homes, neighborhoods, and city streets. The reality many of us are facing, Madam Speaker, is unmistakable, palpable. Too many of us are working harder than ever, yet feeling as though we are falling further behind. Social Security contributions made by the working class are currently being reviewed and are anticipated to be, quote unquote, recalibrated in the coming fiscal year. The jury is still out on what that will mean for contributors. But if we follow the prevailing trend, we can expect for contributions to go up. These are not abstract economic indicators. These are the daily realities of our people. Yet, Madam Speaker, in a budget the size of $1.92 billion in expenditure, an ambitious one, we search in vain for a comprehensive strategy aimed at reducing costs of living for families, the costs of production for small farmers and local producers, the costs of doing business for young entrepreneurs. It is as though, Madam Speaker, putting these estimates together, the government was completely out of touch, even aloof to the emerging global economic pressures, and even worse, impotent in finding innovative solutions to the hardships we continue to face. If, I repeat, if the prosperity is the objective of this budget, then surely prosperity must be felt where it matters the most, in our pockets. Madam Speaker, let us take a closer look at this year's budget estimates. Total revenues and grants, $1.79 billion $1.79 billion. Of this amount, $1.58 billion is generated from consumption taxes, which places the burden on the working class. GST being the largest contributor to the consolidated revenue fund. $6.7 million come primarily from capital revenues via the sale of Crown land and the government's equity from various publicly owned businesses, BTL being one of those entities. Total expenditure, $1.92 billion, an increase of over $200 million. $189 million is allocated in interest payments, $57.3 million more than last year, and $140 million for principal payments, $14 million more than this current fiscal year. The overall deficit is $110.3 million, up from $34.1 million. Deficits are financed either by more government borrowing or alternatively by increases in taxes and fees for the delivery of government services. Public debt stands at $4.676 billion with a B, of which 64% is owed to external creditors. Those are lending institutions outside of Belize. And 36% is owed to local lenders, including the Social Security Board and the Central Bank. For the year 2025, both the IMF and the World Bank estimated GDP at $6.6 billion, a 1.5% growth in Belize's economy, and not the 1.9% noted in the Prime Minister's budget presentation on March the 10th. Gross domestic product is a monetary metric that represents the total market value of all final goods and services produced and provided for within a country during a specific period. The Prime Minister also proudly boasts that inflationary costs had fallen to 1.1% this year, which does not accurately represent what Belizeans are feeling in their pockets for basic commodities. In the last few months, everything from fuel at the pumps, to water rates, to electricity rates, to grocery items, to rent expenses, to property and trade license fees have all seen marked increases. Every Belizean is singing the same tune. A family of 4 can no longer live on $100 per week. Nowhere in his speech, Madam Speaker, did the PM proclaim that our Belizeans are enjoying more purchasing power. Even the most recent increases in minimum wage from $3.30 per hour to $5, lauded by the government as a manifesto commitment delivered to Belizeans and paid out by employers, not government, unless you are hired by the public service, has now been negated by sharp increases in the cost of living. As it is now, 41% of every dollar spent on the price per gallon of regular fuel and 46% on premium prices go directly into the government's coffers from revenue replacement tax, import duties, excise tax, environmental tax, and GST. While liquid petroleum stocks, better known as butane, are now spared, well, until today, from the PM's insatiable appetite, it is only a matter of time today that the cost of butane will be increased and be touted as necessary due to unpredictable global developments. The stated unemployment rate also appears questionable. It should be noted that this figure represents 2% of individuals actively seeking employment. The figure does not accurately, however, reflect reality. Nowhere, and I mean nowhere, in Belize can you gather a group of 100 individuals who fulfill all the requirements for employment and expect to find any situation in which 98 of them are gainfully employed. There are persistent challenges facing Belize's labor market. Despite meeting employment qualifications, a sizable population remains unable to secure stable, long-standing jobs. Madam Speaker, as the Prime Minister likes to say, let us state the obvious. Government is spending more than it earns. The notion of a surplus is artificial, as it excludes debt obligations. As we indicated before, every Belizean household shoulders a deficit budget. Translated into simpler terms, 1 in every $7 this government spends is going to financing our public debt. After years of undue fiscal adjustments by the Belizean people, this administration has effectively signaled that they are now reversing course. Plan Belize 2.0, Madam Speaker, promised a new phase of economic dynamism for Belize. It spoke of building economic capacity to sustain great growth rates above 5% annually. Such growth would allow Belize to expand employment opportunities for our rapidly growing young population, strengthen the middle class, and support higher wages across our economy. Madam Speaker, this budgeting for prosperity that the Prime Minister boasted about in his presentation is a farce. Prosperity should be generated through economic diversification, through investments, through growth of existing industries that serves as the main pillars of our economy, and support for new and emerging ones. Madam Speaker, as of January of this year, 2026, Belize recorded a trade deficit of $251.5 million. This brings into sharp focus the value of goods we import exceeds the value of goods we export. Export expansion, sector diversification, and productivity growth remain limited. Strategic economic planning is vital for Belize to address major global challenges. Madam Speaker, where is Belize's comprehensive manufacturing expansion strategy? How can we develop a productive agro-productive sector? Where is the roadmap for developing a digital economy capable of providing high-value employment? Where is Belize's forward-looking strategy to compete in key sectors of the global 21st century economy? Or the planned investments in innovation and technology that will support our farmers to become the primary food chain providers of our region? This issue is straightforward, Madam Speaker. Belize cannot achieve sustained prosperity with only a modest 2% growth rate. Belize is a nation with immense potential, abundant resources, wealth untold, and should set its sights higher. Socioeconomic policy should prioritize not only stability, but also the advancement of Belize's productivity, competitiveness, and growth driven by investment. Madam Speaker, we recognize that Belize's economy is influenced by global events. Madam Speaker, this administration seemed to have believed that ignoring the global political changes would have somehow insulated us from their inevitable effects. In a word, Madam Speaker, this is incredulous. The Prime Minister's budget figures are inapt and out of touch for the times we're living in. Even before these budget estimates were delivered. Rising tensions in the Middle East and the ongoing war in Iran have caused volatility in global oil markets. For Belize, fluctuation in oil prices translate quickly, well before a new shipment arrives in port. We're seeing real pressures coming to bear. Just last week, Madam Speaker, an unregistered oil tanker with 50,000 gallons of diesel was detained at the Blue Creek port in Belize. Allegedly, Madam Speaker, the contraband was sourced by a fuel station owner in northern Belize. Yet we have not heard a peep from the authorities responsible, save and accept that the tanker and its cargo was seized by the government. Investigations, we understand, are ongoing. Madam Speaker, before I proceed any further with the details outlined in the draft revenue and expenditure for the fiscal year 2026-2027, I wish to share with Belizeans our lived experience in Albert. Madam Speaker, the Albert constituency receives $10,000 monthly from the Consolidated Fund via the Constituency Development Fund. The resources are used to support registered voters and others in Albert. We use this money along with contributions from private donors to offset healthcare expenses such as prescribed medications, lab tests and imaging services, and access to specialized care. It is used to help cover school activity fees, buy uniforms, textbooks, and supplies, support community groups aiding vulnerable individuals, fund micro and home-based businesses, assist with urgent housing repairs, provide skill training for single-parent households, offer funeral grants for loved ones, support community engagement initiatives and community workers, and give rent assistance when we can. Rental rates have risen, reducing the affordability for families. The moment has arrived to introduce regulations for this sector. We continue to allocate these funds efficiently and to assist as many individuals as possible. Madam Speaker, we also administer a monthly grocery bag assistance program provided via the Office of the Prime Minister, totaling $5,000, which provides food vouchers valued at $50 each to 100 Albert families every month. The nominal contribution helps to buy the basics: eggs, rice, beans, flour, and sugar. every contribution plays a significant role in providing meaningful support to families on the brink of poverty. Madam Speaker, we continue to face challenges in obtaining land access for first-time property owners. The Lands Department will only accept applications that include a recommendation letter from a current area representative. Madam Speaker, this policy contradicts the government's promise to streamline land application and acquisition. This goes against the manifesto's pledge to reduce ministerial involvement in public services for all Belizeans. Madam Speaker, I can offer several examples where these commitments were not offered to future landowners. What I find particularly concerning is the deliberate attempt to appeal to young voters in constituencies to transfer votes in constituencies represented by PUP standard bearers and caretakers by providing them with access to land. An individual's place of residence should not impede access to vital government services. Madam Speaker, despite it being illegal for KHMH to withhold proof of birth, young parents still face difficulties obtaining it for newborns. Madam Speaker, this practice causes additional hardships for young families. Birth registrations, access to social security cards for their children needed to access NHI facilities and early childhood education. Madam Speaker, the government recently enacted legislation raising birth registration fees and imposing strict penalties for late registration without considering the systemic issues parents face at public institutions or the hardships these fees increases cause on families. We are still dedicated to collaborating with the appropriate authorities to make sure this issue, that of proof of birth, is settled completely and decisively. On a more positive note, Madam Speaker, we do acknowledge that when specifically requested, Albert residents have been recipients of life-saving oncology services, dialysis treatment, and emergency procedures through the Patient Care Assistance Program available by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Albert students, I am very fair member for Toledo West. I am very fair. Albert students in primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions have received tuition grants from the Ministry of Education. These tuition grants provide the support infrastructure for young minds to be meaningfully engaged to ensure that they can become productive citizens of Belize. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the beneficiaries of these programs, We take the opportunity to express our gratitude to the Prime Minister and his executive for the support afforded to our constituents. Madam Speaker, the primary issue facing families in Albert and in approximately 80% of families we on this side of the House represent, and I believe it would be true for the representatives on the government side, is a rising cost of living. The government revenue system plays a key role in this reality. According to the budget estimates, the government will depend primarily on indirect taxes, consumption taxes, for its revenue. The estimated amount of GST is $485 million. Excise duties at $245 million. Environmental tax at $70 million. Taxes on foreign currency transactions at $53 million. Import duties at $160.8 million. Property taxes will see a marked increase from $6.4 million to $9 million. The estimated total tax revenue is estimated at $1.581 billion. As previously noted, these taxes are included in the cost of essential goods and services. They influence the cost of fuel, transportation, construction, materials, food, and a wide variety of consumables. When government revenue relies on consumption, ordinary Belizeans bear the burden. That is the simple fact. Madam Speaker, in Plan Belize and Plan Belize 2.0, Belizeans were promised meaningful tax reform. Many swallowed that bait hook, line, sinker, rod, and reel. The government pledged to take legislative action to enable the central bank to make targeted, incentive-based market interventions to reduce lending rates, to reduce business tax, to eliminate environmental tax on inputs for products manufactured in Belize, to abolish the contract tax, and to provide land tax credit for farmers and for land under cultivation or in the use of livestock. As of now, the Income and Business Tax Act, specifically Section 112, still mandates a withholding tax of 3% on all gross contract payments, providing no meaningful relief. Essential commitments to poverty reduction, tax reform, and lowering the trade deficit have been completely overlooked. In replacement, Belizeans receive GST-free tax weekends twice a year for back to school and Christmas. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Finance touts this initiative as a badge of some sort of special distinction. We urge this ministry to provide comprehensive tax relief instead of one-time individual measures. Madam Speaker, I will now provide a more in-depth analysis of the budgetary priorities outlined by this administration. Affordable, quality health care is increasingly difficult for workers. More funding is welcome if it prioritizes patient care over personal gain. The health and wellness budget is just under $200 million, with $102 million for recurrent expenditure, $95 million for CAP 2, and $2.5 million for CAP 3 support. Most of the recurrent expenditure represents salaries and emoluments, while CAP 2 is classified by the reclassification of the $33 million subsidy committed to KHMH and $52 million for the purchase of medical and pharmaceutical supplies. It is important for the Belizean people to note that there is no previously established precedence where such reclassification has been done for medical supplies. Madam Speaker, with the sum of $52 million allocated to central medical stores, a $20 million increase from this year, no Belizean should be denied care at any public care facility or at the KHMH due to shortages of basic medication and supplies. No Belizean, Madam Speaker, should be given a list of supplies required before an emergency surgical procedure can be scheduled. We can all remember, not so long ago, when our nurses and doctors countrywide staged a walkout protesting the shortage of both staff and medical supplies. Basic items, gauze, medical tape, Tylenol, basic diabetic and hypertensive medicines were not available to sick patients. In 2024-2025, there were reported 25 separate instances of out-of-stock inventory at central medical stores. Aside from the $19.1 million investment proposed for the state-of-the-art hospital facility to be provided by our friends of the Republic of China, Taiwan in San Pedro, this year's budget falls short of improvement to healthcare facilities. No new investments are envisioned for the country's #1 referral hospital in Belize City, which desperately needs a roof, we are told by hospital officials. No mention of the rebuilding or replacement of the polyclinic in Port Leola. No sums allocated for district public hospitals, save $67,000 proposed pediatric wing at the Northern Regional Hospital in Orange Walk. Madam Speaker, equal and equitable health care services must be for all government institutions. Madam Speaker, another critical concern is the minimal sum of 100.8 million, 101 million that has been allocated for health training. This translates, Madam Speaker, to no major expansion in specialized medical training, increasing rural healthcare capacity, designated scholarships for locally trained nurses, doctors, technicians, and other healthcare auxiliary providers. These raises another fundamental concern. How do we intend to address adequate patient care if Belize yields to the pressure of the United States to end its long-standing partnership with the Cuban Medical Brigade? We have always shown profound respect and regard for our friends, our allies, our international partners who have consistently helped us in the arduous work of nation building. It is deeply troubling that both our democracy and our sovereignty are at risk if we do not unfollow the unreasonable demands of those who seek to have unbridled power in this hemisphere. Our government has been read the Riot Act. We have been reliably informed that the Prime Minister has been given a firm timeline in which to act on the requests related to the Cuban Medical Brigade, or be exposed to consequences of visa restrictions, revocations, restrictions on travel and tourism, and trade sanctions. Madam Speaker, our foreign policy outlook does not have to be loud, confrontational, or dismissive, but it must remain, at the very least, principled. Those of us on this side of the House recognize the strategic importance of all our friends, the United States of America being no exception. Here's the premise from which we note our concern. Friends respect friends. Friendship should not be used to create power imbalances, justify political actions, or inflict egregious harm on humanity. Who, I ask, who will provide health services in our rural and remote communities, or provide specialist care to those who cannot afford access? In speaking to our UDP caretaker in Toledo West this past weekend, yes, I checked with him because I couldn't find you. He shared the concern that there are no doctors or nurses permanently stationed in the 28 villages that comprises this constituency. This is problematic. I try to call you, Patient care is arranged for designated hours on specific days each month. Severing ties with the Cuban Medical Brigade would only exacerbate the challenges they already face. Madam Speaker, we are privy to the fact that a group of locally concerned healthcare professionals wrote to the Ministry of Health and Wellness just shy of 6 years ago, expressing their grave concern on Belize's continued reliance on external support for healthcare services, and went further. They offered recommendations on how this matter could be addressed. As we understand it, the recommendations were either ignored or were placed in file 13, as those concerned doctors, one of whom I met with this weekend, are still awaiting a response. What is the government's strategy to train and retain nurses so they opt to stay here in Belize and not be recruited by developed countries? We cannot strengthen the health system if we do not invest in the people who deliver care. There are zero investments in mental health facilities despite 16,000 consultations per year. $0 allocated for specialized equipment and infrastructure upgrades have seen a sizable budget reduction from 900,000 to 100,000. I would be remiss, Madam Speaker, if I did not call your attention to the lack of budgeting for critical care services. For the third consecutive year, there has been no increase in the allocation for dialysis treatment, even though there is a growing demand for these services. We must expand our oncology services, particularly as it relates to pediatric oncology support. Our young patients must seek cancer care services outside of the country. Madam Speaker, we acknowledge and we thank Dr. Yakab and the oncology unit at the KHMH for their outstanding work in delivering cancer care to adult patients. Madam Speaker, my colleague representing Queen Square will offer a more comprehensive analysis of the $57 million designated for NHI during his intervention on Wednesday. However, we take this opportunity to formally request an audit of the NHI financial statements. To the best of our knowledge, there has been no audit conducted since 2020. The system is operating without any accountability. Even though an oversight body has been convened with a member recommended by the opposition, the Commission still hasn't received budgeted allocation for NHI services this year. As a result, it cannot conduct or provide feedback, despite requesting the information several times. We call on the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Commission's chairman to make the proposed budget available post haste in the interest of transparency and accountability. The government expects that 325,000 people in Belize will sign up as active NHI service users. This, Madam Speaker, represents a little over 80% of those of us who require primary health care services. We agree with you, Prime Minister, that a healthy nation is a wealthy one. A healthy population maximizes productivity. About 70% of patients are treated by private or will be treated by PCPs, private care providers, who have major health service contracts, while the remaining 30% will visit established clinics such as Cleopatra White and Matron Roberts. Madam Speaker, this proposal does not, in our view, constitute healthcare reform. Rather, it represents state-funded privatization of health care delivery. The Prime Minister says that health care is an entitlement, but the draft NHI legislation that now sits in committee introduces mandatory taxpayer contributions. Madam Speaker, we all know the adage, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Madam Speaker, a reclassified budget and a shift of healthcare funds into private hands under the guise of NHI is a public healthcare system in decline, allowing public facilities to deteriorate further jeopardizes the future of sustainable primary health care. Affordable, quality health care is still a challenge for far too many.
Leader of Opposition, I'll just ask for your indulgence so we dispense, since it's about 11:45 with the Standing Order 12. Correct.
Madam Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order 12.8, I move that the proceedings on the order paper may be entered upon and proceeded with at this day's sitting at any hour though opposed.
Our members, the question is that the proceedings on the order paper may be entered upon and proceeded with at this day's sitting at any hour though opposed. All those in favor, kindly say aye. Those against, kindly say no. I think the ayes have it.
The sum of $314.6 million has been allocated for education. The Prime Minister budget presentation reports. These sums would seek to accelerate system-wide transformation and protect the well-being of our teachers, ensuring tangible results for students, education, and the nation. End of quote. Yet, there are no meaningful education reform initiatives such as nationwide school infrastructure upgrade program to accommodate our growing student population, no budgeted allocation for national teacher training, no allocation for the digitization of classrooms in either our urban areas or rural communities, no aggressive literacy and numeracy intervention plan, no nationwide competency assessments to gauge how our academic institutions and students are performing, no strategic teacher retention programs. Madam Speaker, just as we saw with our nurses, our skilled teachers are being recruited to teach in developed nations across the globe. Madam Speaker, because of inadequate planning, teachers are stretched too thin. Classrooms are overcrowded, and there is still a lack of resources. We all know that education is not free. The plan believes manifesto commitment for free education from preschool to sixth form was a fabrication from the start. Madam Speaker, our students gain advantages from tuition grants, subsidies provided to public academic institutions, feeding programs, bus transportation, and other similar initiatives. However, church-state institutions impose fees for additional educational services that often surpass the cost of tuition, creating financial challenges for families who are already struggling to meet these expenses. The issue is not about spending money to fulfill our salary commitments to teachers. What matters more is considering transformative strategies to invest in our educators, modernizing our schools, and preparing students so they can help drive Belize's future economic growth. My colleague from MESUP, Madam Speaker, will address infrastructure investments in detail during his intervention tomorrow. The United Democratic Party has always maintained infrastructure development is both important and necessary. I remember when the rallying cry in this House by the opposition, by the then opposition, was, "We cannot eat streets." You remember that? I'm sure you remember that. I remember that very well. Roads, bridges, and transportation networks are vital in economic growth and national connectivity. No responsible opposition, of which we consider ourselves, would oppose investments in the nation's infrastructure upgrades. Conversely, Belize should be confident that infrastructure investments are managed transparently and responsibly, ensuring that every dollar spent delivers real value. The $200 million allocated for road maintenance, drainage works, and other infrastructure upgrades across the country should come with transparent details, such as the cost per mile of road, cost per bridge, tender procedures, contractor selection methods, and a comparison between final project delivery costs and original estimates. This request ought to be straightforward and should not require private conversations in the minister's office initiated by a member of the opposition. Regardless of whether investments are funded through the consolidated fund or via loans and grants, the government is using public resources and must, I say must, ensure full disclosure in Parliament. In the People's United Party's Plan Belize manifesto, Madam Speaker, this administration promised to establish the gold standard for transparency and accountability. The people of Belize are still waiting patiently, Madam Speaker. If the mishandling of the proposed BTL acquisition of SpeedNet and Smart is any indication, Madam Speaker, or the fact that we do not have a single audited financial report in hand to review for this current administration, 5+ years and counting, we still have a distance to travel. Setting precise benchmarks and implementing oversight on loan fund usage will strengthen trust among both current and future generations who bear the responsibility, Madam Speaker, for repaying these loans. Madam Speaker, the government has proposed a $900 million upgrade in the port of Belize, in Belize City, which can be characterized as ambitious but lacking adequate transparency. The proposed development is called transformational and seeks to modernize cargo operations, increase cruise tourism, create jobs, improve working conditions, support coastal protection, and regenerate Belize City's south side. The touting of this large-scale facility attempts to entirely dismiss other cruise port facilities which received government's clearance. The Stake Bank project, Madam Speaker, received bipartisan support and parliamentary approval back in 2014 when the Stake Bank Cruise Ship Docking Facility Development Act of 2014 was approved. The Act of Parliament granted fiscal incentives and authorized the project as a public interest initiative. Then there was a mysterious approval of an environmental impact assessment and the acceptance of a mysteriously signed definitive agreement of the Portico project, embraced by the now Prime Minister and a group of, in his words, senior colleagues for the development of a second cruise tourism facility. Madam Speaker, after the Prime Minister was discovered behaving inappropriately, he quickly withdrew from the agreement in these chambers, hoping to separate himself from a deal that his ministry had unsuccessfully sought approval and backing from his executive. The pushback, Madam Speaker, came from his own cabinet members, those sitting across the aisle. It is sufficient to say that the government's handling of the need for a modern shoreside cruise port facility for central Belize has been nothing short of a calamity. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister's interference in private investments, I think of Serene Development, Madam Speaker. I think of investments in Stake Bank, Madam Speaker. I think of what is now happening in the north with the coercion by government to have farmers withdraw their legal claims from BSI, ASR, and Tate and Lyle. The Prime Minister's interference in the affairs of private investors in his attempt to stave off other initiatives to promote interests of his own has exposed Belize's reputation to grave risk, our investment reputation. When the country's top office treats local investors with such disdain and disregard, interfering in the business of private sector-led investments, it sends a strong signal for foreign investors to proceed with extreme caution. Madam Speaker, the budget estimates excludes funds allocated for forthcoming government legal challenges that are apparent. Madam Speaker, the State Bank developers have stated categorically that they refuse to withdraw their interests until a legal review at the highest court addresses alleged government interference in their negotiated agreements with a local banking institution. Madam Speaker, it is deeply troubling when the highest office in our nation deliberately misrepresents correspondence received from a U.S. congressman. By portraying such communication as a broad and sweeping endorsement of his administration's policy decisions, the government sends a misleading signal to the public. This act suggests that those in charge may be losing their grip on effective leadership and are responding to mounting pressures from a place of desperation rather than reasoned governance. Such misrepresentation undermines public trust and should trigger a no confidence vote in this sitting administration. For the avoidance of any doubt, Madam Speaker, those of us on this side of the House support the 4% salary increase for public officers, teachers, security personnel, and healthcare workers. These increases provide welcome relief for the working class who are committed to providing services to the public. In this year's estimates, approximately $651.9 million have been allocated for salary and wages, while pension and ex gratia payments are projected at $129.9 million. Together, these obligations account for 11% of GDP and 60% of total recurrent expenditure. Although the government has acceded to the union's request, Madam Speaker, there has been an increase in labor activism over the past year as trade unions continue to express concerns regarding outstanding benefits, delays in settlements, and unresolved pension matters. We on this side of the House, Madam Speaker, implore the member of Kaya North not to rely on reading scripted statements when facing challenging questions in this House. Instead, we ask that you use your influence, your authority, and your judgment to address the ongoing concerns of the Belizean communication workers for justice directly, fairly, decisively. Please listen to the resounding cry of the masses. Madam Speaker, it is a fact that 70% of Belize's energy supply, electricity and petroleum, is imported. This one-way trade flow makes Belize vulnerable to external shocks, trade deficits, and reduce energy independence. The situation has been a direct factor in increasing energy costs, impacting households, businesses, the productive sector, the service industry, and public services such as transportation. Additionally, Madam Speaker, Belize has aging infrastructure that is vulnerable to extreme weather conditions. and unprecedented increases in demand. No one can erase the memory from the rolling blackouts caused by load shedding that we experienced in 2024. It's also important to note, Madam Speaker, that the transportation sector in Belize is Belize's largest energy consumer, accounting for 52.9% of total energy consumption. In such a global context, we can agree that energy security, energy reliability, and energy affordability are essential components of a national economic policy. In August of 2023, Belize secured $154 million from the Saudi Fund for development to construct a 60-megawatt solar energy plant aiming to enhance renewable energy supply. The Millennium Challenge Corporation, through the MCA Compact, has agreed to provide an additional $83.4 million, and that's Belize dollars, which is expected to facilitate lower cost energy integration, reduce electricity costs, and strengthen Belize's competitiveness. While the government continues to vigorously promote energy sustainability, it has failed to provide a quantifiable roadmap for achieving it. Instead, Madam Speaker, the government has outlined projects funded by public debt and private investors rather than government-led transformation. Madam Speaker, for the working class, for people like me and you, and those sitting in the gallery, electricity and energy costs are on a steep upward trajectory. At the beginning of this year, Madam Speaker, electricity rates increased by 3.4 cents per kilowatt, and fuel prices at the local pumps are through the roof. Remember? You remember when the representative from Orange Walk Central had all the solutions for the challenges we were facing under the previous Barrow administration, due to no fault of our own. He may have the solution for crime. He may have the solution for national security. He may have the solution for increases in the cost of living. And he may definitely have the solution for inflated costs of petroleum at the pump. Madam Speaker, it was the current Prime Minister who was then the leader of the opposition. No, I have some time to go. So rest up. I have some time to go, man. Who led the public protest calling for government to lower the fuel tax by $2 per gallon. Talk about political grandstanding. Back then, premium was $10 per gallon. And now, don't make fun of my disability. You, Prime Minister, who say you are concerned about the disabled in this country, do not make fun of my disability. Don't worry, I am standing tall. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. Your wife, who has dedicated her life to those with a disability. You, sir, should be ashamed of yourself. Premium was $10 a gallon, and now, back then, and now it is $14. As an initial temporary measure, we call on this government to reduce the fuel tax by $2 to help lower high fuel costs for struggling households. Regionally, Madam Speaker, CARICOM countries such as Barbados, Jamaica, Antigua and Barbuda have introduced measures to cap their respective governments' take on the fuel pie, because they recognize that their national economies, like Belize, are driven by the cost of fuel and the impact increasing costs can have on economic growth. We must challenge the government to become more cost efficient, curtail unnecessary government spending, and closely monitor the government's fuel usage on their vehicle fleet. Madam Speaker, I take this opportunity to correct misinformation provided by the Prime Minister in a recent interview with one of our local media houses on this issue of petroleum pricing. For him to say, Madam Speaker, that the Barrow administration collected millions from the petroleum revenues that could have been used to subsidize tax on fuel is a deliberate attempt to mislead and misrepresent the facts. It seems to us, on this side of the House, Madam Speaker, this is a trait that is fast becoming habit-forming for him. Madam Speaker, the Barrow administration collected petroleum revenues over several years in a series of payments instead of receiving a single lump sum as he suggested. After 2015, revenue collected from petroleum taxes went from $30 million to $1 million, and that has been the figure ever since. Even after 2015, when oil revenue virtually disappeared, Madam Speaker, fuel prices at the pump were nowhere where they are today. Prime Minister, please, man, stop take away fikunumono. Fool the talk, but they no fool the listen. The real question is budgeting for prosperity for whom? It is fair, Madam Speaker, that the telecommunications sector is undergoing rapid transformation worldwide. Advances in satellite-based broadband technology, particularly low Earth orbit satellite networks, are reshaping the economics of telecom markets across the globe. Against that backdrop, Madam Speaker, the ongoing controversy surrounding the proposed acquisition of smart SpeedNet infrastructure by government-owned BTL has sparked a robust national debate for good reason. The timing of the proposed acquisition, the implications for competition, the cost and quality of service, and public confidence, the lack of fairness for former employees, and transparency in the process. Caught blue-handed, with his hand deep down in the cookie jar, Madam Speaker, these public concerns are amplified by the fact that SpeedNet and Smart is linked both to the Prime Minister's family and the Waterloo Trust. The proposed acquisition has been grossly mishandled by the executive chairman of BTL. I don't know what he's still doing there. And it is time for him to be replaced. Despite public protests, the cries of concerned Belizeans as pressures from virtually every sector of society, including the BCCI, civil society, the labor unions, and the opposition, continue to go largely ignored. The transaction can potentially jeopardize social security contribution from workers. The prevailing circumstances surrounding this telecom buyout underscores the need for full disclosure and accountability when public institutions are involved in complex financial and technological arrangements. Madam Speaker, we trust that the BTL fiasco has taught us all one important lesson. Institutions, particularly those funded from the public purse, must never be utilized as instruments for resolving private financial challenges. Even before the ink could dry on the first hike in fuel prices at the pump, Madam Speaker, the member from Orange Walk Central looked to our young academics in the eye and promised more of the same, throwing his hands up in the air because in defeated resolve, the Prime Minister flagged the same dead horse when students proposed a question about the increasing cost of living. Inflation, he said, is imported. Inflation is imported, and there is nothing my government can do about that. If this administration is serious about budgeting for Belizean prosperity, there are no shortage of proven policy tools that can be utilized to mitigate the exposure of fuel costs. Madam Speaker, this leads me to a quick, I promise, overview of what are not considered national priorities in the upcoming financial period. There are no key investments or strategic plans for economic diversification. Tax relief for working families, agricultural stability, food security, youth engagement, social protection for those facing poverty, crime prevention, community and border security. On the latter, Madam Speaker, violent crime is on a steady incline. This brings into question the current leadership of the Belize Police Department, who cannot decipher or hold to account who thief Budna. It also brings into sharp focus, in my view, the incompetence of the administration. Just hours after painstakingly explaining about a plan the Prime Minister concocted without some advice, I suppose, Madam Speaker, to negotiate a prisoner exchange with Guatemalan authorities for Budna, none other than his trusted Foreign Minister had to publicly shut down the idea by explaining that such an option was not a possibility. No such arrangements are in place, nor do we enjoy formal diplomatic relations with Guatemala currently. The single most important issue for Belize's foreign affairs, I hope you will agree, Minister of Foreign Affairs, I hope you will agree that the single most issue for Belize's foreign affairs efforts is the hearing of the ICJ on the Belize-Guatemala territorial claim. Its definitive conclusion, Mr. Speaker, we hope will bring an end to the centuries-old unfounded dispute and establish once and for all sovereignty and international independence, sovereignty and our national independence. We wish to enforce that the Belize-Guatemala territorial dispute is not a partisan or political issue. It is one of great national importance. Both parties, both the People's United Party and the United Democratic Party, have supported this effort. The opposition, Mr. Speaker, remains engaged and supportive in this process. Despite this, there is no mention of or update by the Prime Minister in his budget presentation. No mention of what the cost of defending Belize's national interest has been, neither how much will be spent on the highly capable international legal minds tasked with advancing our arguments at The Hague. One has to comb through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs budgeted estimates to find the sum of $2.5 million allocated for ICJ under Cap 2 projections, which is on par with the previous year's estimates. In fact, despite receiving its own substantive talking section in the budget speech about expanding Belize's diplomatic footprint, it is worthwhile noting that these efforts are estimated at $13.9 million for foreign policy, strategic management, an increase over $4 million, and $16.8 million in overseas representation. Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, the infiltration of criminal elements in northern border towns and incursions by those who do not formally recognize Belize's sovereignty in our southern communities should keep us up all at night. The plan to have these matters addressed seem elusive at best. We understand that Belize is reaching out to federal law enforcement agencies in the U.S. to design the solution against narco trafficking, money laundering, and the unwelcome advancements on our national patrimony. Please tell us, Mr. Prime Minister, please tell us what the plans are and how much it will cost. Alongside this, the public sector is expanding with an addition of more than 600 new employees, who we can only assume, without any other justification, that they are political appointees. We call on the Ministry of Public Service to provide the necessary information for these new hires. My friends, the future outlook for Belize is not a rosy picture. Large capital programs funded through external sources provide no immediate relief to the working class. Mr. Speaker, we once again state the obvious. Belize cannot borrow its way to prosperity. Achieving economic transformation needs more than large-scale government infrastructure spending. It needs clear strategy, defined policies, and substantial investment to generate genuine growth, not a get-rich scheme that seeks to provide a retirement plan for a chosen few. We need to ensure we balance the scales between infrastructure and meaningful investments in our human structure. The budget estimates as presented, Mr. Speaker, falls short of addressing the basic social protection for Belizean families. Mr. Speaker, we wish to remind the Prime Minister of his commitment as a leader of the PUP in Plan Belize, and I quote, to respect human rights, something he has a problem with, and fundamental freedoms, to uphold the position of the family in a society of free citizens and free institutions, to preserve the dignity of human rights and the inalienable rights for which all members of our human family are endowed by the Creator. End of quote. The question, Mr. Speaker, is who cares for the 26.6% of our population classified as multi-dimensional poor, according to the 2022 Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index? Who cares for the women and girls who disproportionately are victims of gender-based violence? And we welcome, Member for Corozal Bay, the introduction of the bill this morning. Who cares for young boys who have fallen prey to gang-related violence to escape the scorn of poverty? Who cares for those like me who are differently disabled, have a disability? Who cares for those who are who suffer from mental illness, who are helpless and homeless and roam our city streets? Who cares for the aging population, who are not the spoils of yesterday, but rather the very foundation on which we build? In 2004, Mr. Speaker, the National Gender-Based Violence Plan of Action 2024 to 2030 was approved by Cabinet. At that time, $269,000 was allocated for its implementation. You want to go slower? You need me to go slower? Fast forward 2 years later, Mr. Speaker, and the current allocation stands at $308,000, despite the glaring gaps in service and the absence of a comprehensive referral pathway for victims. The Domestic Violence Amendment Bill and the proposed new bill needs to be widely socialized. Last October, Mr. Speaker, 5 women were violently killed by their intimate partners within a span of just 18 days. These tragic deaths sparked national outrage, the very reason socialization matters. I pause, and I invite you to pause with me to remember all victims, both of domestic abuse and gun-related violence that disproportionately affect our young men. Our communities, Mr. Speaker, and our homes are bleeding out, literally and figuratively. Zero tolerance to all forms of violence must mean zero tolerance, and we must provide the necessary support infrastructure for victims who are either trying to find their way out of life-threatening situations or a pathway to a new way of living. Approximately 35,000 Belizeans live with disabilities, according to the data from the Statistical Institute of Belize. The current budget, Mr. Speaker, allocates a one-time sum of $400,000, which is a total sum of $11 per person annually to the Secretariat, and this sum is provided to the Secretariat for Persons with Disabilities. This is sufficient for staffing, implementing programs, or raising awareness. I think we need some in this house in the current economic reality. It is important to note that disability is not a uniform experience. A one-size-fits approach, as I know you know, Member for Corozal Bay, does not fit all. Mr. Speaker, I should be done by 1. Who's counting? Who's counting? You know the count. You know the count. We gave you the time you needed. Yeah, we have all day. 5 hours. Come on, now we have all day. Or 4. Or 4. Madam Speaker, it has also been said that the true measure of a nation is reflected in how we treat our elderly. Yet in these estimates, the National Council on Aging is slated to receive a total allocation of $156,000 this year. The Council has long championed the introduction of universal pension. Currently, fewer than 1,000 Belizeans receive a non-contributory pension.